everybody. In honour of the Swedish to English Literary Translations Association's 40th anniversary, Translators Aloud is hosting a series of readings of Swedish literature. Each month, a SALTA member will present one classic or one contemporary Swedish book. This month, I'm reading from Sarah Death's translation of the classic The Colonel's Family by Fredrika Bremer. I'm reading on behalf of the translator and I'm representing Norvik Press. #NameTheTranslator. I've chosen to read from this book in particular because it is very close to my heart. It has lots and lots of lush descriptions of food and it's so unique. Fredrika Bremer has been described as the Swedish Charlotte Bronte and I would completely agree with that. I'm going to read an extract which is one of my favourite parts. So I hope you're sitting comfortably. I can't tell you how much I am longing to know if any of my young readers, genuinely curious or just being polite, would like some further description of that person who is sitting in one corner of the drawing room, keeping quiet, knitting, taking an occasional sip of tea and giving you her commentary on the rest of the company. In order not to disappoint any reader who might be hoping for it, I shall sketch this figure for you too. She belongs to that class of people whose lives, as a rather foolish colleague of mine once remarked, run thus. At times you are expected to give the impression of being everywhere, at others you must appear not to exist. This curious life is usually led by a person who, without belonging to the family, is drawn into it as a companion, a helpmate, a general factotum in sickness and in health. I can give you a brief description of such a person, but so as not to leave her without a position in our title-conscious society, I shall call her the family advisor. Her sphere of activity is wide-ranging, as you will see. She is expected to put her mind, her hand, her nose, her hopes into everything, but no one must notice. If the master of the house is in a foul mood, she is pushed forward either in her capacity as lightning conductor or as a gust of wind whose duty is to blow away the storm. If the mistress has the vapours, she is as indispensable as the eau de cologne bottle. If the daughters have troubles, she is there to share them. If they have any little wishes, plans, projects, then she is the mouthpiece through which they can reach rather deaf ears. If the children are screaming, she is sent to quieten them. If they won't sleep, she must tell them stories. If someone is ill, she sits up. She runs errands for the whole family and must be ready with good advice for one and all on every occasion. She must keep watch over the kitchen, even as she serves the coffee in the drawing room. If fine guests are expected and the whole house is on parade, she disappears. No one knows where she is, any more than they know where the smoke goes after it rises from the chimney. But the effects of her invisible presence must continue to be felt. The decorative dinner table is not the place for the saucepan in which the fruit fool has been thickened. That must remain on the kitchen stove, and the family advisor shares its lot. For she too must make things wholesome and pleasant, but do without the credit. If she can do that with stoic perseverance and resignation, her existence can often be as interesting for her as it is important for the family. It is true that she must be humble and silent, close doors quietly, make less noise than a fly, on no account buzz intimidatingly around people, and yawn as little as humanly possible. But on the other hand, she is free, with a little care, to use her eyes and ears, and she has many first-rate opportunities to use them to her advantage. In contrast to the laws of the physical world, the moral world offers no better place for an observatory than the lowest, least noticed by everyone, and so our family advisor has the best possible vantage point from which to train her searching spyglass on the family. Gradually, she will see every movement and shadow on the planet of the heart, follow the path of the smallest orbiting comet, and see eclipses come and go. Watching these phenomena, the changing thoughts and feelings of the human soul, more numerous than the stars in the sky, she will learn each day to decipher and interpret one more piece of life's great and wonderful puzzle. So as you can see, she gradually amasses a good store of that precious but always useful treasure, called Knowledge of Human Nature. Before her lies the hope that at some future time, when spectacles adorn her nose and silver hair her aging head, she will be an oracle, telling listening youngsters about things she knows which they cannot even imagine. So much for the general duties of the family advisor. Now a few words about the person who comes closest to filling that role in Colonel H's family. I say comes closest, because luckily there she is treated more as a friend and does not merely wait in the wings or act as prompter, but usually comes on stage and says her lines as openly and confidently as the other actors. The first word that faltered from those childish lips after a year on this base earth was moon. 8 years later she wrote her first verses, To the Moon. The dawn of a life that later turned out so dry and prosaic was a sweet poetic moonlight dream. Her pen dedicated many a sonnet and ode to the delights of nature in those rich youthful days when her heart beat fiercely, her feelings flowed like the spring torrent, and her sad sweet tears welled in floods. But in all that she sang, wrote, or dreamt, there was always something about moonlight. Her parents shook their wise heads and said, Daughter, if you remain a poet, you will never learn to be a cook. Your sauces will burn onto the pan. You must think of learning to support yourself later on. You must be able to spin and to bake cakes. Moonlight satisfies no one's appetite. But the girl wrote her poems, minced the meat, did not burn the sauce, worked deftly at her spinning wheel, baked her cakes, yet did not forget her childhood friend, the gentle moon. Later, when its friendly light shone on her parents' grave, she wrote no poetry in its honour, but looked up imploringly into its mild celestial countenance, as if to a motherly comforter, offering light to lead and protect the orphan on her lonely path. But alas, that orphan would have almost starved to death in the gentle moonlight if light of a different kind had not been her salvation. This came from the fireplace of a noble kitchen, where she succeeded in making a good wine jelly, and became a great success. Having discovered her talent for making an exquisite wine jelly, they gradually noticed her other invaluable qualities. A young lady with chapped lips found her homemade lip salve wonderfully soothing. An old gentleman was comforted to find in her a tireless listener to the tales of his 49 aches and pains. A devoted mother of 4 small and amazingly clever children was much moved to hear from their rosy lips of her rare skill in finding rhymes like love and dove, toy and joy, tease and please, eat and treat. Her yawning ladyship was suddenly wide awake when the same talented person read her fortune in the cards and predicted that she would shortly receive a present. In no time, 9 people were singing the praises of her excellent remedies for toothache, pains in the chest, and colds in the head. At a wedding, they discovered her amazing ability to arrange everything from her ladyship's coiffure to the cakes and pastries, from the bride's crown of myrtle to the sandwiches to go with the aquavit. On the more solemn occasion of a funeral, they found she could arrange everything, from the last bed to the refreshments for those who never forget, even on the saddest of days, that we have to eat to live. By using all these talents industriously, and perfecting various others of the same kind, she rose step by step to the rank, respect, and dignity of family advisor. She has almost forgotten how to write verse, except for a few meagre lines now and then for birthdays and name days, squeezed out from a sense of duty. She rarely looks at the moon, except to see whether it is full, and yet its rays may be the only friends to visit her lonely grave. But this is no time for elegies. Does anyone want to know more about this prosaic friend of the moonlight? Her age? Somewhere between 20 and 40. Her looks? Like most people's, though maybe most people would be rather offended that she considers herself at all like them. Her name? Oh yes, your most humble servant, Christina Beta Workaday.